Hello, welcome to today's podcast on what kids need, and today it's patience. Being a parent, you have to be really patient, and I'm talking about patience beyond patience. Children cannot do things as quickly as we can. They are not adults, and sometimes they just don't have the dexterity to do it or the physicality to actually do certain things. So you've got to take that into account. These are little beings who aren't fully formed. They won't be able to do things that you can do. And they don't actually have a concept of time, as you well know, when you go on a trip and you've just got to 1 kilometre out from where you've left and they're asking you, are we here yet? So you need to really be considerate with children in terms of being patient with them. I notice a lot of parents are not patient with their children. They won't give them those extra few minutes or just sit and wait or let them just do it in their own time. When I was working at after school care for a while after I stopped teaching, I noticed that some of the children hadn't quite finished their painting or their drawing, or they were still gluing something on, and the parents would come and pick them up and they wanted to go like, right now, we have to go like right now. And the kids are like, but I want to just finish. No, we're going. And they had no patience with their children. It was going to probably take another 5 minutes in a whole day, which is absolutely nothing, to let them just stick the pasta on there or whatever they were doing. But they had no patience. If you're a parent, you will need to have patience the whole time through, from when they're born until they're grown ups and you're old and they're old too, and you need to be patient. And patience is like a form of love. I think patience is love. When we're patient with people, we're being loving toward them and we're extending love to them. Stop hurrying them up. Stop making deadlines with them. Don't do that. If you make deadlines, you have to stick to them. Don't make deadlines. Just be patient with them. If you have to wait for them to put their shoes on, it's taking a little bit longer, make it into a game. Don't make a big thing about it, just make it into a game. Children love games, and a child who's a bit on the slow side for doing things will respond more to you as in a game form than being nagged at. Have a look around and you'll see when you are impatient and what the things are that make you impatient. It could be when you're trying to leave in the morning, it's too chaotic for you. So maybe it's time to do some pre-work, put their clothes out on their bed the night before, make sure the breakfast, as much is put on the table as possible, make sure that the school bags are already packed. Anything that has to be signed is signed the night before. You can actually take that and do it the night before. And then in the morning, you won't be impatient when they're packing up their bag or can't work out what to wear or they're tardy around having breakfast. And have a situation that if they are tardy around breakfast and they're not eating, perhaps have some backup. So if they don't want to eat their porridge or they can't eat it at the time and you really have to go, you just say, look, don't worry, and just leave it and have some backup food for them. You also need to be really patient with teenagers because they get kind of challenging and you have to be very patient with them because they're going to be much, much more moody. Sometimes it's hormonal and sometimes it's what's happening at school because they're having trouble with their peers. And they're also fairly confused when they're teenagers about who they are and what they want to do. So you need to be very patient with teenagers, I think, in a different way to young children. Being patient with your children will pay off because they will learn what it's like to have someone who's patient with them, and they're more likely to be patient with others and patient with their children. So yeah, it's actually an investment in the future. It's also good for us to learn to be patient. Being impatient usually means we want to get our own way. It's a kind of a form of control, being impatient. So when you're impatient with people, you want it done now, and I want you to do it now, and hurry up. And it's coming from what we want. We're not often taking the other person into consideration. And honestly, people who are slow and tardy and take a while to get stuff together to go are not always doing it on purpose. It's not like they're trying to get back at you. Sometimes that's just how they are. In some families, you'll just have one kid out of three and everyone's sitting in the car waiting for that last one to come. And everyone just sits there and just waits, and eventually the person comes, and then you start the car and no one says anything. Because you just know that person's going to be the last one, so you don't make a big deal about it, you just be patient with them. Also, some people are not as organised as others. That's the truth of it. And whether they're children or adolescents or grown up, they will not be as organised. And that's where you can help by helping to pre-organise things for them. It's okay if you help them. There's a very fine line between getting children to be independent and also making sure that you're also being patient with them. It's important that you be patient with the children. I have found that by being patient, the relationship is also more harmonious because you're not getting cranky with them, you're not yelling at them, you're not giving them the evil eye look, you're not looking at your watch, and you're not making them feel pressured, because when you're being patient with people, you make them feel stressed, and your child will get stressed, and you will actually give your child anxiety. And a lot of children have anxiety because their parents are always at them and they have no patience with them. You can see it in shops, the way people are interacting with their children and just going right off, in the shopping centre, because they're not patient. They're not understanding that child's tired now, or maybe that child's got a headache, or maybe the child's just sick of being at the shop. And they're just really impatient with them. So instead of giving them a positive around being in the shop, like, look, in a minute we'll go and look at the toy shop, or on the way home, let's go to the park, let mummy just finish the boring groceries, and try and make a game out of it when you're doing it. Put them in the trolley and be stupid and muck around. Impatient people don't help the other people, and they make people feel uncomfortable as well, and they don't make the other person feel like you're pleasing them and you're always having this morning fight. I think you have to understand that in that child, if they're like that, and then really help them by making sure you help them in the morning and don't pressure them in the morning. And it's okay to do extra things for them in the morning if they're not a morning person. They're not going to grow up and not be able to do things. It's just like it's a transition. And as they get older, they won't want you to do things anyhow. They'll want to do it themselves. Practice patience. It's the same as practicing love. That's what I think. And also patience has something to do with my last podcast, which is time. Because what you're doing is, by being patient, you're giving them time. Time to pack their bag, time to clean their teeth, time to put their shoes on, time to finish their porridge. You're giving them time. And you can't give anything more valuable to people than time, really, because at the end of the day, that's all we have that's consumable. We can spend our time with people, but once the time is gone, it's gone. Be patient, be loving, be kind, hold your tongue. Don't say anything, just stand there. You can think whatever you like, really, but just stand there and be patient. And you will find that when you're patient with people, they actually usually improve because they're not so stressed. Because when you're impatient with people all the time, it makes them feel stressed. They always feel like they're going to be in trouble, and particularly with children. So if you want to have a calm child, a happy child, a relaxed child, don't be impatient with them. And honestly, most of this stuff is all crap. It doesn't even matter. It does not matter if they put their shoes on before they leave the house or in the car or when they arrive at school. It actually doesn't matter. A lot of this stuff doesn't really matter, particularly with the patient stuff. It's important too because then they learn to be patient with other people, so they can be patient with you and their brothers and sisters, people in the family, and then friends, and then be more patient at school. And you can talk about this. If you feel that you need some help in this area with them, you can say to them, in the mornings, we've got to make this better for both of us. How can we do that? And then you make a plan. And then it goes a little bit more smoothly. I'm talking here because I think being patient pays off with people. It really does. And I encourage you to be patient with your children. It won't be your first thing. You'll want to rush them, and just stop that and be patient. Because honestly, it's only going to be a matter of a few minutes normally. It's not big stuff. It's not hours you're waiting. It's just a few minutes. And then you will have a much more loving relationship and a calmer relationship between the two of you, because they know that you're going to wait for them. And you're going to allow them to be kids and take their time. Children take a lot longer to get dressed, to put their shoes on, to pack their bags. And they don't have the same concentration as an adult. They can't concentrate for a long time when they're little, when they're small. And so their concentration wanes, and then you land up, seeing them doing something else. Be patient with your kids, it'll pay off. I really know this to be true, and your relationship will be stronger and deeper and more loving. So enjoy your kids this week. You're so blessed to have them. Wishing you lots of love and light for the week.